Hey, what's going on, everybody? Got my usual crew with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we are coming your way with the 7th edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. About to first dive right into the NFL with this whole Kirk Cousins versus the Redskins issue. What do you guys have to say about that?
Well, it's that ball club in Washington, which usually does not do a good job in structuring contracts, and they either overpay for people that they don't need or they don't pay people that they do need. But right now, with them cutting ties with RG3 and with Cousins having a good end of the year, even though he started horribly, they're between a rock and a hard place, and I think it's going to end with a franchise tag.
Yeah, definitely agree there. I do think deciding to move on with Kirk Cousins is the right decision. I don't think there's really much question there. Like I said, the last time we were talking about, Kirk Cousins, whoever decided to draft Kirk Cousins in the same draft or drafting RG3 is now looking like, one of the smartest guys in your organization.
Well, that was Shanahan. He was the GM too.
Yeah. So, he's kind of, in the back of his mind smiling that, something worked out there. But, I do think that franchise tag is just such a valuable thing for franchises, like for organizations. It allows them, basically to just hold on to the guy for another year. So
I actually do think it's in Washington's best interest, though, the franchise tag.
I don't think so either, but I think it'll happen.
No, I think it is.
Okay, why do you believe that?
I don't know that it is.
Because, like I said, Cousins finished the year, great. He was, his numbers, I'm not calling him this, Trey, before you start saying something stupid. But his numbers were,
I would say so.
top 10 worthy.
Yeah, his numbers were really good.
So I can see him wanting to get a long-term deal and get his money, but we can't just disregard his first 6 games of the year where he had 8 interceptions.
Yeah.
He was
I
average
agree there.
Multiple picks. So, I could see Washington going into this being a little bit, I don't know if we want to give you the house and pay you like an elite quarterback. Let's franchise tag you. You still get $20 million for a season, but we see if you keep it up to see if it was real or if you just had what they probably may feel they had with Griffin for that first year, where you just caught fire for a bit of time and then it tapered off.
Yeah. I guess that's just kind of where we see a little differently, only because, granted, Kirk Cousins has no control whether he gets a franchise tag or not.
Sure.
The only thing that I think, well, first of all, let me say the biggest loss would be they don't franchise tag him and then he goes elsewhere. That would be the ultimate rock bottom for Washington. But I do think Kirk Cousins also needs to realize he basically had a hot, 7 games, 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he needs to realize it's not his time to be paid yet. 8 games is good, but anybody can go out there and look really good for 8 games. Like you said, the franchise tag will give Washington the ability to see if he's real or not, if he's long-term or if he was a flash in the pan. Mm-hmm. So, I guess we'll wait and see what they do when that time comes around for franchise tags to become available.
Yeah. The guy wants his money. I can't blame him on that. One thing, I'm a Ravens fan, so I look at a guy like my man Flacco. He's, you look at his history, he's been on and off throughout the history of his pretty much tendency in the NFL. And, had that nice little Super Bowl where he won and ended up getting $20 million and really hasn't been doing anything after that. So, the guy wants his money. I can't blame him on that, but, it's going to be interesting to see, how they handle it.
Yeah,
how positive are you guys that he's going to get the tag?
I feel
Like 100%?
I won't say 100, but like 90.
Okay.
Yeah,
Unless he's willing to work with him to bring his number down, or incentive base it or something like that to give him his extra money off of production. But
I mean, and here's another thing we need to consider: who else would they give a franchise tag to? There's nobody else I could really see them sticking it on. So Kirk Cousins really is the viable option.
Yeah.
So, I mean, odds of him getting it are going to be really high, especially since they kind of already cannot see eye to eye on contract terms. So,
yeah, I mean, like, I guess to go back on it, basically, Trey, I guess I'm 100% sure they're gonna tag him, because they have to do that by March 1st, because I don't see them having a contract worked out by then. But it doesn't have to stay, since they have until like July or something like that to still work out a long-term deal. So he will be tagged. It's just, will it stick?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. I think maybe once they initially say, hey, we're going to franchise you, that could open up to maybe some more leniency on somebody's side. It's possible.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and it's tough for Cousins also, just because there's no other bigger name quarterbacks that are working out a deal for themselves. I think like Breeze is working on an extension, but he's not at that level. Yeah. But maybe if they work something out reasonably soon, he might be able to look at that number and they may be able to work something off of that. But I don't know.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how this will play off for sure. Do you guys think he wants to stay in Washington, or like how do you guys feel he just feels about the Redskins in general?
I think that's tough to tell. I think I think the Redskins would like to keep him, so I don't think it's so much the idea that he wants to go somewhere else or anything like that. But I do think he'd like to stick around. I think he likes the idea that he kind of has a base here. The fans really like him. You know, they got the you like that thing going. So, you know, you like that. So I mean, you know, he kind of has his own little fan base going over there in Washington, and I think him sticking around would be in his best interest for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think he wants to stay because, I mean, like if you look at this past season, he basically was anointed and it was his team. Like, as bad as he played through the first 5 or 6 games of the year, there was still no worry about RG3 getting that starting position back. I think he's in a situation where there's a coach that has basically placed his career on Cousins. So, I mean, it's his team. So if he sticks there, I mean, he doesn't have to watch his back. So if he signs, I mean, I guess there's a slim chance they try to draft a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round, but I think they threw their eggs in that Cousins basket last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, especially when they come out, name RG3 the starter, and then basically pull that back and say, maybe not.
Yep.
You can't change your mind twice like that, especially after you look, you know, kind of stupid doing it once. Even though it worked out, you still look stupid doing something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, it was what Gruden wanted to do. He made, like, his
there was a lot of
franchise
pressure.
Year. Yeah, you saw he wanted Cousins because he figured that fit what he wanted to do better. It wasn't a Shanahan style offense anymore, so they weren't running bootlegs and all that. It was more traditional. So he wanted to rely on Cousins, and he did. And in the end, it paid off. They made it to the playoffs. So
yep.
Yeah. You guys have any other thoughts on this?
No, just I don't know. I think Cousins is a fit there. I think he'd be kind of dumb to really worry too much about a contract right now. I mean, especially if he gets that franchise tag and it sticks, he'll get the guaranteed money. And if he produces again, then there's going to be no question about what he wants. He's going to get what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think he would either be smart. I think he would be smart just accepting a franchise tag and not even worrying about a contract this year. Just go out and play. And if he can, just not necessarily do what he did for 8 games an entire season, just be steady, produce, give yourself a shot at the NFC East, and I think he'll get a contract.
Yeah, if he takes it, and I mean, even if he puts up roughly similar numbers to what he had last year, over 4,000 yards, almost 30 touchdowns, and only 11 picks, if he can do that for another season, and they can compete or make it to the playoffs again, oh yeah, he can. They'll give him a blank check.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
Up next, we're about to go to Peyton Manning. First we had this whole issue coming up about him with this whole HGH. Now we have this whole sexual assault scandal that's going on with him in this past in Tennessee. How do you guys feel about that?
I think it's very unfortunate. Peyton Manning, a very likable guy. The media loves him. Coaches love him. Fans love him. If this all comes out to be true, I mean, there are reports, but if Peyton Manning's involvement ends up being proven and all this stuff, I think it's going to be very, very disappointing for a lot of people.
I think it's weird. I mean, there's a lot of weird outside factors to this. I mean, going to what Tyler said, from everything I've read, it's true. It's been settled twice by Peyton, because I guess once a few years back, he opened his mouth and slandered the trainer, and she sued him for defamation, and he settled it again after previously settling it when he was still, when he was just coming out of college. But the outside stuff with this, the guy that wrote the article basically seems like he wrote the article because he was getting sick of all the issues Cam Newton was getting.
Yeah.
From the Super Bowl.
If you don't remember who this guy is, there was a report that came out, remember the whole Rachel Dolezal? Yeah. Because he's light skinned, people said that he was actually white and he's pretending to be black. So he's huge into the whole Black Lives Matter movement. So I can definitely see him bringing up this issue with how Cam Newton was being treated, just how involved he is with the whole Black Lives Matter movement. So I could have seen him doing this.
It's Sean King, right?
Yeah, Sean King, yeah.
Yeah, and, and basically going straight off of that, it's no coincidence that article comes out, just less than a week after Peyton Manning wins the Super Bowl. I mean, that's not coincidence. Stuff always comes out to try and kill somebody's reputation after they do something successful. I don't care who you are. That's always the case. So, I mean, it is, like you said, Darnell, all the outside factors are kind of puzzling.
Yeah.
It's, and my thing is, like you said, these things have been settled. So shouldn't they be over with?
Well, I mean, I guess it's just one of those things, it happened in a time frame where we didn't have social media and stuff isn't as widely known.
It makes a difference.
And I never, this is my first time hearing about this, because I was,
we were little
when this first came out. So, I didn't even know who Peyton Manning was at this time. So, when he brought this whole issue to case, I was like, wow, that's interesting, because, I wasn't thinking about college football when this whole incident happened. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, like, this is most people's first time hearing about it, just because, like I said, this came from a time period where you might get a little blurb about something like this, but I mean, people think colleges are powerful enough to keep stuff quiet now. Back then, it was like, if they didn't want you to know, you don't know. So, like, it's a serious issue. So, I mean, not to like make it seem like it's nothing. Like, I mean, this is something serious. Sexual assault in any form is a serious matter. It's just like, it kind of goes back to talking about, like, it's something that needs to be talked about, but the timing is weird, and the messenger is a little questionable.
It's, and like you guys said, it did come off kind of like a, like, you treat me bad, I'm gonna treat you bad too, kind of thing. And like you said, it's all because social media has the power today that it does.
It has a lot of that feel of a, I mean, like, you know how fans are, so like, well, you want to get mad about Tom Brady cheating, inflating footballs, and so what about Peyton teabagging a girl when he was 18, or you want to get mad about Cam walking off? Like, why don't you look at this? He's doing HGH. Like,
it's like you're trying to one up everybody.
Yeah, and it's it's making a serious situation seem petty.
Absolutely. I mean, and like you said, I will even go on the record too, just because it's, sexual assault is no joke. Like, that is something that, like, if anybody sees that, it needs to get addressed at the moment, and it needs to be addressed appropriately. Like, you can't just be like, hey, knock it off. Like, that's just not what you do. And when you start seeing people being like, well, you think that's bad? Well, look at what he did. It's like, it doesn't matter what level you're doing it at. If you're doing it, you're doing it. So, it is, like you said, one of those things where it's like, who's committing the worst of the sin? And it just feels like we're just trying to show somebody's sin is greater than the next guy, so the other guy's okay. It is a little puzzling as to why that's being the case, instead of just, hey, this is an issue and we should see it for what it is.
Sure.
Now, like, based on like what you guys heard so far, like, are you guys more siding with Peyton on this issue or the alleged victim?
Oh, I mean, I from what the alleged facts are, I side with the victim.
Just to kind of clear that up, Trey, are you trying to say, like, since time's gone on, do you think, like, not saying it shouldn't be as big of a deal, but like, should it not be the issue that it's been made out to be? Like, is that what you're asking?
No, like based on like what you guys, just
like based on the facts.
Yeah, like what you've.
Based on the facts, dude. Sexual assault.
Yeah, so.
Like, you can't get past that.
Yeah, definitely true with that.
But like we said earlier, it's one of those things where that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, why now do we choose to make a big deal about it?
Yeah, and I mean, just like how you guys were saying, it's pretty much brand new information for a lot of people, because, like we said, it's 20 years ago. It was done at a time where, if this did make enough hay back then, it would have been seen as this is just locker room junk and boys being boys. But in this time frame, in 2016, we don't look at things like that anymore. It's more so if you're doing something of a sexual nature to the opposite or same sex, it's a serious issue. But I think just at the time frame when it came out, it wouldn't have been looked at the same way. So it's under a deeper microscope now, even though it's something that happened 20 years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, how often do you think stuff like this gets swept under the rug?
More often than it should.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like,
if you look in, even if you look at the last, 10 years, you had the Jerry Sandusky scandal that got swept under the rug for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then shortly after that came out, you had the thing with Syracuse basketball that came out that one of their assistant coaches was sexually assaulting people.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, when one story breaks, it's almost like it gives the right for all the other stories to break too. It's like nobody wants to be the first to break a story like that. So they wait for others to come out, and then a whole bunch come out at one time. And it's kind of like, okay, that happened 30 years ago, but it still doesn't lessen the seriousness of any of it. It just makes it seem like, why did it take 30 years for it to come out? Like, what was going on in that X amount of time? What was really going on to really try and either preserve somebody's, reputation or their identity within the university or the organization? It really makes me wonder what the thought process is going into trying to sweep something under the rug.
Well, I think it's not more so for these players that they try to sweep stuff under the rug. I think it's more so on the university parts.
Agreed.
Yeah, that can mess up recruitment and all that other stuff.
Postseason bans.
Yeah. But I mean, it happens constantly. I mean, just think of the news over the past 5 or 10 years. Like Tyler said, the Penn State scandal.
Yeah.
We had the whole Jameis Winston thing. It came out that the FSU police consistently would tell people you might not want to say something if it's about somebody on the football team.
Yeah.
But this Tennessee deal, it looks like it goes back. Like there's even current stuff. Like the one of the things that's not being talked about out of the report because Peyton Manning's name is in it. This is like a school-wide scandal that they've been keeping hush-hush on issues with sexual assault. I guess within the last couple years, one of the former players is in on the lawsuit because he tried to stick up for a victim and go help her go to the authorities, and he got jumped by his teammates.
Wow.
So, I mean, that shows us how far it's going, that people try to cover it up. And I mean, like, there's smaller instances with players coming in or quietly getting dismissed. U of M's kicker from 2 years ago.
Gibbons.
Yeah, Gibbons quietly got kicked off the team
You're
games before they went to a bowl game. And it was due to a sexual assault. And supposedly, allegedly Taylor Lewan had something to do with it too, but he was a better player. So
and maybe one underlying factor here that isn't necessarily getting talked about, but every once in a while you'll hear about it, is like a lot of times, this is, on a bigger scale than just sports as well. But when it comes to things like hazing, freshman hazing and stuff like that, this is some of the stuff that they tell, hey, if you want to be accepted by us, you got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes sexual assault is the action that they say you have to complete if you want to be one of us. So, now I'm not saying that hazing is the cause for all of this, but, I'm saying stuff like that happens within sports teams, within locker rooms.
Yeah.
And it's just uncalled for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a culture that, I'm pretty sure they're making an effort to try to come together to rein this stuff in, but the universities they have to do a better job trying to change this culture, because usually issues with sexual assault, they come from two areas in a college: athletics and fraternity row. Mm-hmm. So, common thing is it's basically a locker room culture in both.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just more education with the players and less trying to work to have them feel less of a feeling of entitlement to everything, because I think that has something to do with it.
Yeah, because back in the day, man, Peyton Manning had to be like the biggest dude on that campus. So he could have, felt that he could probably get all the women, whatever. So.
Oh, yeah, people wanted to go to the Supreme Court when he lost the Heisman
program.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, definitely that played a huge issue.
Yeah.
Now, overall, including like NBA, MLB, just sports overall, like how do you think they handle situations like sexual assault situations? You think like overall they could still do a better job, or you think it's lacking still, or what?
I could absolutely still do better, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not as bad as it was 10, 20 years ago. I mean, I think just, that the turning point for everything was Ray Rice. So that
Yeah.
that was that kick in the teeth that sports needed to, like, hey, we really have to do something about this, because we can't have, I mean, I don't know if it's for the right reasons. It's probably just more so, hey,
Money.
we got TMZ, we got Twitter, we got everything out. People all have smartphones, so it's getting harder and harder to buy off these tapes and videos and pay people off to be quiet for these type of situations. So we actually have to start being serious and punishing these people to show them that it's not right.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to constantly monitor everybody on a team. You can't have somebody following around every player on, the weekends, every time they go to the store. So issues are going to arise.
Mhm.
I think the only thing, coaching staffs and administrative boards will be able to do is basically just sit down with the teams and just tell them how it is and say there's, consequence for the actions you do. And we're going to go through with it. There's going to be no question about it. It comes down to the point where you almost have to have the zero tolerance policy. And
Yeah.
it's like, if it happens, you're done. And I think, like you kind of said there, Darnell, after, Goodell pulled back that 4-game suspension, it was a zero tolerance policy.
Mhm.
And Ray Rice is still paying the price for that.
Yeah. Especially like, during the Super Bowl, they even had like a domestic violence little commercial going on during the Super Bowl. So yeah, that Ray Rice situation definitely played a huge role, at least like in the football realms of things.
I think it covered all sports. Like their penalties got harsher across the board with issues like that. I mean, from NBA started giving out harsher penalties, baseball started looking at it more seriously. I mean, even down to UFC started like cutting people.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Any other things you guys have to say about this topic?
No, I think we're ready to move on from
Okay.
that.
Okay. UFC wise, Ronda Rousey was on Ellen, and I guess she was telling her that when she lost to Holly Holmes, she felt like committing suicide. When you guys first heard that, how did you guys? What went through your head?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you guys would have thought the same way, but I kind of went to the sore loser kind of thing. My mind frame being, I'm not huge into the UFC world and things like that, but I think everybody really understood what Ronda Rousey was doing and the dominance that she had. So, like, I understand that losing that fight, especially in a female athletics, if you're not at the top, you're kind of a nobody. And that's just the way it is. But I do think that it was, if she really did go through that thought process, I really hope she got help. And I really hope she wasn't just talking about it, because once again, suicide's a real issue. It's no joking matter. There's no need to even be like, hey, haha, I thought about committing suicide. It's like that's just not funny. So, I mean, if she really did have that thought process, I really hope she got help, especially in a sport where, your brain's going to get rattled around.
Yeah.
But I guess back to my thought process there, I just kind of thought, like, is she trying to play up the fact that she's, that UFC is all she has? Her being at the top was who she was, and now she has nothing because she lost. And I just don't know enough about her as a person, as an individual, for me to know really when her UFC days are done, what is she going to?
Well, like I agree with you some on it. It's definitely some comeuppance for her. So like
Mm-hmm.
I don't like I definitely don't want anybody contemplating killing themselves. That's horrible. And I do think those are real thoughts that she had. I felt like it was real emotion that she showed in her interview when she was talking about that. Like she's a way better actor than she shows in movies, or that those were some real tears and emotion coming out. So I do believe she went to that dark place, but on the other hand, there's definitely some. I can't feel totally sorry for you because I mean, Rhonda carried herself like her stuff didn't stink, you know. So like which is common, especially in combat sports. If you gotta talk the talk, walk the walk,
Absolutely.
and you promote yourself at all times. And if you feel you basically have to feel like you're the baddest person on the planet, you're going into a cage with somebody trying to take your head off. So I understand it, but I'm not gonna be totally just sympathetic when you get knocked out. I do feel it was real thoughts coming from her. I do think she's had a life where she's been at or near the top of her trade for a whole life. She's an Olympian, world champion judoka, and pretty much immediately went to stardom in MMA, and getting the UFC championship and just mowing through people. And she met a head kick that knocked her out, and that was probably the first time she's ever. I mean, I'm pretty clear it's probably the first time she's ever been knocked out. She's lost judo matches, but just being put out like that, it was probably super embarrassing for somebody that's that eccentric and cocky in a lot of people's eyes. So I'm pretty sure she got a lot of hate mail and didn't want people to see her. She was trying to stay out of that realm so she didn't have to face it. But yeah, she probably had some of those times where she was curled in a corner and just thought the world was ending for her. But I don't think it was very long because to answer your question, Tyler, she has a lot of other things going for her. I mean, movies. She's going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue this year. She has plenty going for her. She has a second career after fighting. I don't think she fights more than a few more years anyway, because I would rather make millions in Hollywood than make millions getting kicked in the head anyway. But
yeah, it's fair. Yeah, I mean, and I guess the reason, I kind of equated it to Cam Newton in the sense that when things are great, you're at the top and you can kind of do what you want, say what you want. But when you lose, you kind of throw yourself a pity party. It's kind of like, it's like you said, it's kind of hard to feel sorry for that. But, like we said, if she really did go through those thoughts, you kind of do have to feel a little bit sorry. So.
Yeah,
so it's a tough thing to try and judge.
Yeah. First and foremost, anybody listening to this, if you know anybody that's having suicidal thoughts or anything like that, act immediately, help the person out.
For sure.
Nothing more valuable in life. But how I feel, you notice, definitely Darnell, I don't know about Tyler, but I'm not really a huge Ronda Rousey fan. Seeing her on Ellen talk about this whole entire issue, it kind of made me feel initially that she was a weak person. The reason being, here you are, you trash talk all these opponents and stuff, and then you're the champ, and then as soon as you lose, you want to talk about killing yourself. For me, it was like, could I picture Muhammad Ali calling Joe Frazier, Gorilla, talk about how he was going to beat him in Manila, go up in there and lose, then be on Howard Cosell talking to him, how you feeling, Ali? Oh, man, hey, man, I feel like killing myself. Or, Mike Tyson, how he was talking about how he wanted to eat Lennox Lewis's kids, and then he ends up losing. He gets on there, TV or something, says, "Hey, man, I want to kill myself." You know, those are, I couldn't, see that coming from guys like that who trash talk. I think this for her is definitely going to be a lesson mentally. I know my man Kobe Bryant reached out to her about when she lost, but you lost. Guess what? You're going to live to fight another round. If you go up in there to fight her, I would have been more impressed if she went up there and said, you know what, hey, Holly Holmes, kept it straight trash talk. Hey, guess what? Holly Holmes, she got lucky, getting a fight. Sometimes you're going to end up getting caught with a punch or a kick, but guess what? The next time we get up in the ring, I'm going to beat her ass. If she would have said that, I would have been like, okay, well, you know what? Hey, but when you live up to all this hype, you talk all that trash, guess what? You got to live up to it. And for me,
it's a long fall.
When she said, the whole suicidal issue, she probably did feel that way, because I know, I have seen some interviews before where she talks about she'll be crying and stuff like that. But, when you say words, people expect you to live up to those words, when you act like you're unstoppable, people are going to expect you're unstoppable. So, with that whole issue with her, definitely going to be a learning experience from her for, and, it's going to test her out definitely mentally when she gets back in the ring. Like I said, I don't wish any harm to her whatsoever, but, just this whole situation, I hope it's something that, she will learn from. Probably her first loss probably ever. I don't know. She won gold in the Olympics, didn't she? Darnell?
No, she won bronze.
Okay. Well, hell, it's bronze. I don't have bronze anything, but either way, man, this is a situation for her to learn from. And, like I said, when she goes out there, she talks that trash, people are going to expect her to live up to those words that she says. So, wish her the best of luck. But yeah.
Couple questions for you on that though, Trey.
Yeah.
You think some of your thoughts on that are just because of how anti-Rousey you are? Because, just one of the examples you brought up, Tyson said he was in a pretty dark spot when he figured out he couldn't beat Holyfield.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he went that deep in thinking about ending his own life, but there was some extreme depression there. And he didn't, I don't know if he said it in any interviews or anything, but you could clearly see a certain Anderson Silva was pretty down on himself after he got knocked out by Chris Weidman, where he said he quit basically.
Well, with Mike Tyson, he had a crazy past.
He had mental health issues.
Yeah, before. Just mentally, he was never really there. Just whenever. I think when Customato died, his trainer that helped him be the youngest undisputed champion ever, when he died, I think that really grabbed a hold of him, because I think he said, in a former interview that I saw before, I think when he went to prison over that rape allegation, I think he said that when he went to prison, he lost his complete desire. So when he fighting Holyfield and the Lennox Lewis's, I think he was just mostly just doing it for the money. Could be wrong. Anderson Silva, on the other hand, him being sad, guess what, dude? You're 40 years old,
Well, that just sounds like you're making excuses, though.
The dude, hey, listen, it catches up to everybody, man.
I know. That's what I'm just saying. Even if it happens to a lot of people, if you're the baddest person in your sport.
But this Anderson Silva, did he really do a whole lot of just straight up trash talking though?
Yes.
Not on the Ronda Rousey level, dude.
Yes.
I have to disagree with that.
Okay. I think
look up him. He's fighting. Who's he fighting coming up?
Michael Bisping?
Bisping.
Bisping
got a shouting match in the middle of an open training session, talking stuff to each other.
Dude, it's Michael Bisping, dude. Him and Michael Bisping and Chael Sonnen. Like, though, I could see him getting in, like, a heated discussion. But him to just, like, call, like, a guy out and just, like, start just getting involved with him, like a Ronda Rousey or whatever.
Anderson did it in the middle of fights.
True, but
most other Brazilian fighters can't stand him because of stuff he would say in the ring while you're fighting him.
Part of that, I look at how I see it is
this is your favorite fighter?
No, I'm be straight up serious. This is what I think with Silva. The guy was a counter puncher. So when you are up in the ring with somebody, you're trying to get into the head of people. One thing that I think he wanted to do as part of his game was to piss them off and have them try to throw punches at him. Can't really be a counter puncher if they don't throw punches at it. So you would catch them and then boom, you hit them and they're out.
I don't disagree with that. I think that was
part of his game, but I don't think Anderson Silva talked trash on the level of a Ronda Rousey. Now that's how I think Ronda Rousey's tossed a lot of trash, but I don't think when you think of trash talkers, I don't think Anderson Silva belongs like on the same tier as a Ronda Rousey.
If you ask another Brazilian fighter, just because English is not his first language, if you ask another Brazilian fighter, I bet you they would disagree with you.
Okay. Well, hey, that's a Brazilian. I don't know Brazilian, so I don't know what he'll be saying in the ring.
Portuguese?
Portuguese.
Portuguese. But whatever.
And I guess I'll go ahead and share my take since it's very neutral compared to both of you guys. I could have cared less whether Ronda Rousey beat Holly Holm or not. I'll just straight up say it. It was one of those things. To me, it was like the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight. I'm watching it for the fact that it's a big fight, not the fact that I have cheering interest. So when Ronda Rousey lost, yes, it was kind of shocking. I think everybody was a little shocked. But I wasn't sitting there cheering or nothing. I was just sitting there just going, holy crap, what happened? Because Ronda Rousey had so many knockouts in under a minute. And it was just kind of interesting to see her get beat up a little bit. But in terms of her talking trash, it's just kind of like, how much of that is just a front of being the best in your sport? I think a lot of it is a front, and I think a lot of it's kind of the mask that they just pull over their face and are like, hey, if I'm going to be the best, I have to live the part. And so I think we just need to remember that these people are human too,
definitely,
and all that. So I think it's more of a fact to me that whether she wants to talk trash or not, I think it just came with the territory of being number one, and I think she really grew into it.
Yeah, I agree with you totally on that. That was why I had the questions for Trey.
Absolutely.
I take the opposite side because I honestly feel like it was a little bit of a show of her showing that she was vulnerable after a loss. Mm-hmm. It was probably a hard thing for somebody with that kind of personality to honestly tell somebody and tell the world. So I didn't see it as weak. I saw it as a show of strength.
Okay. But, like I said, I believe if you talk the talk, you should be able to walk the walk. So for me, knowing like the type of fighters that I like and stuff like that, I couldn't see, like the Muhammad Ali's or people like that after a loss saying, oh, hey, I felt like killing myself or something like that. Just on the fighters that I like. You like Roy Jones because you have seen like a Roy Jones or doing that after a loss as many times as even getting his head punched in.
I wouldn't be shocked if he felt like that after Tarver knocked him out. Will he admit it? I don't know, but I wouldn't be shocked if he felt that exact same way. He was on top of the world at that point, and he got put on his face in under a minute.
Yeah. I don't know. Be interesting to see. Any other thoughts on this, guys?
No, let's go to happier things.
All right. All right. Speaking of happy, we're about to go to the NBA. Probably the greatest All-Star break I've ever seen in my lifetime. What did you guys think of the All-Star break? All-Star weekend?
I thought it was a lot of fun. personally. I think we saw some great events. We ended up being correct on the skills challenge, which was kind of cool to kind of see what we predicted actually happen. I enjoyed watching DeMarcus Cousins dribble the ball off of his foot out of bounds and then win with a late three. I thought that was funny. And then, I enjoyed seeing my guy our guy Darnell get to the finals and Isaiah Thomas. I was really pulling for him hard.
Yeah.
But, Karl Anthony Towns, I guess he deserved it. I mean, it was...
I was shocked
I think,
Draymond didn't win that, man, because with those threes and stuff, I was expecting him to...
The thing I really liked about the skill challenge specifically was the fact that those big guys were pulling so hard for Karl Anthony Towns. They were on the floor. Yeah. They were on the stage with him. And I think that is that right there defined what All-Star Weekend is. Yeah. It's supposed to be a time where these guys who, don't like each other for 82 games in a year get together one weekend and just have a bunch of fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that event really kind of capitalized on, I think, the intention of All-Star Weekend. And I think that was a really cool event and a good spin on it. And I honestly think those big guys really enjoyed it.
Do you guys know why they got rid of the I forgot what it's called, but they usually started off
with the teams.
Yeah, with the legends. And they have them do the
because it's a garbage event.
True, but I still I like to see some of the old guys still get back and get involved.
Yeah,
with
no,
it.
I agree. I agree.
I think it's probably too hard trying to get, because it was probably always the same teams, because they had to put a WNBA player, and they only have 12 teams.
True.
So
yeah.
But overall, that All-Star weekend, it was awesome.
The 3-point contest was awesome.
Yeah.
I think it was, Steph Curry didn't win. I wonder how many people were shocked by that and how many people weren't.
Yeah.
Once again, I was happy my guy got to the finals, Devin Booker. But
good call on that, man.
Yeah, just came up short in the end. But I enjoyed watching. Really, for the first time, I felt like those were the legitimate best shooters in the NBA going for it. Oh, you didn't have a classic Kyle Korvers in there just because he shoots a lot of threes, but we actually had guys that make a lot of threes in it this year. And so I thought that was fun. Klay Thompson, very deserving of that. Anytime you can go in and beat, who everybody's calling the best shooter in the game.
If anybody was to do it, it was going to be Klay. I mean, his teammate, the guy practices with him every day. So
I think they kind of had a match within themselves going on, and I think that really kind of sparked him at the end. And then, we'll talk about this a little more, but the dunk contest was just awesome. That was the first dunk contest in a few years that I watched, and I really felt like I didn't know what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
I felt like Aaron Gordon, I think he got robbed, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But, I thought him and Zach LaVine were both just explosive and both just brought.
You still there, Ty?
Says he is.
Maybe it's Mike. Oh, okay. Now you're talking. All right. Now go what you were going to say.
Yeah, basically, Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon both were just super explosive. They brought everything to the table. It was a great final. I actually would have been cool with a tie, believe it or not, in the dunk contest. But
we'll get there, man.
Yeah, like I said, we'll get there. But but overall, I thought it was very enjoyable. I didn't want to turn the channel like I normally do, but I thought it was really good. I thought it was very good this year. Props to Canada for Toronto. I felt like they did a really good job hosting, and all the players, hearing them talk about Toronto and stuff like that afterwards, all the players seemed like they really enjoyed it too.
Yeah. Now you've been to Toronto before, haven't you? Didn't you go to Canada before?
Yeah, I've been there twice.
Okay,
it's a fun city.
All right, so yeah, I definitely have to go there one day. But
probably my favorite city to go to, especially if you go in the spring or summer. It's awesome.
Okay, it's cool. But yeah, definitely agree with everything you said there about All-Star weekends. I just love the atmosphere. Only down thing I would have to say about it is, in the All-Star game, I wish they would have played a little bit more defense towards the end.
Don't even try.
So, that's the only major problem that I had with it was just I would like to see more defense, a little closer game. But other than that, it was just spectacular. Great, love the skills competition. It was fun to see. Everybody probably had a guard. It was especially Isaiah winning the whole thing, but Towns, he went out there, he did his thing, and absolutely loved the support from the bigs. They went out there and cheered for him after that. After he had won that, so that was definitely good to see the spirit of the guys overall. 3-point competition. Some people argued, that hey, we should have saved that for last, but the dunk contest
did
not this year.
Yeah, not this year.
Did not disappoint.
They went out there, man. They did their stuff in that dunk contest. So, man, I was very shocked by that. Just because you look at the dunk contest, you always wonder, what else could these guys do, that hasn't been done yet? And and I sat there, I was just like, wow. These guys are athletic, man. That was just impressive, to just have that just athletic ability to do some of the stuff that those guys were doing. It was just like, wow, those guys worked their tail off to do that stuff. So, yeah, definitely, I said it before, I'll say it again, definitely the greatest All-Star weekend I've ever seen. So, what are your thoughts, Darno?
I agree. It's one of the best ones I've been through in a long time. I've got a lot of years in on these All-Star weekends. I go back to making VHS tapes. It was one of my favorite times of the year. Like I said last week, I think the NBA does their All-Star weekend deal the best of any of the four major sports, and they showed it this weekend. I had fun with everything. I watched pretty much everything they did. I watched the celebrity game, got some laughs out of Kevin Hart watching that, and I watched the U.S. versus the world Rising Stars.
Oh, huge shout out to the world. I thought they were going to get blown out, man. Those guys, they brought it too. So huge, definitely huge shout out to them for making that a good game. Because just looking at the names on that list, you would have thought the U.S. would have just blown them out. But those guys, huge shout out to them for competing. That game was awesome.
Yep, world players came out with a chip on their shoulder, probably because they were getting a lot of, what we were saying last week, but they played awesome. The league, I think, is got a bright future just watching that game. And then, of course, once we got to All-Star Saturday night, which is truthfully the main dish of the All-Star weekend. Everything was fun to watch. The skills challenge was fun. The 3-point competition was everything you wanted in the slam dunk. I still don't know how much is left somebody could do, but if it was alive for one night, it was Saturday night. And
that's true.
The tricks came out, and I saw a bunch of stuff I've never seen before, and it was great.
Yeah. Now, Tyler, we can finally talk about it, man. Was Gordon screwed over?
It's been bothering me ever since. I believe that Aaron Gordon got robbed. Yes.
Why
to simply
man?
Put it, yes.
All right. Why you feel that way?
I look at it
point blank. Yes.
Yeah. Just yes. But no. Zach, I'm not trying to take away the fact that Zach LaVine's a good dunker. He's a very good dunker. He shows that he's explosive. He can really move while he's in the air. one of my friends described it, when he goes up to dunk, he literally just floats in the air. I mean, he seems like he's up there forever. So, I mean, in terms of, Zach LaVine winning, like, okay, whatever, I'll move on. But I thought Aaron Gordon did some things that I think, well, obviously Andre Drummond and Will Barton weren't going to be able to do. And then I look at just the dunk that Aaron Gordon did, the one that I really liked, so where he jumped over the mascot and basically dunked while sitting in the air. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was better, in my opinion, than LaVine jumping from a step in front of the free throw line.
Yeah.
And the dunk from the free throw line got one more point, I believe, than Gordon's dunk.
Just overall, like, real quick, I'll let you finish. I think the judges could have done a better job judging some of the dunks in the dunk contest. So I put a huge blame on the judges there. I just think they could have done a better job, especially with Shaq giving out nines for some of those dunks. I was kind of like, okay. But,
I mean, I also, and I'll get to that in a minute, because that's part of my big point, and I think that's kind of like my overarching point. But, like, I just think Aaron Gordon kind of made you turn your head a little bit and go, wait a minute, this guy can do that?
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea Aaron Gordon had that kind of ability to dunk the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it out of Zach LaVine last year, and I feel like he did some similar stuff. I feel like he didn't really do anything crazy different from his performance last year. He just did different dunks. But and here, I tweeted this out the other day, and I said, I believe Aaron Gordon got robbed. But why should I be surprised when the dunk contest is the only one that's judged by somebody's opinion? I mean, yeah. I felt like they really, I'm not saying they wanted one guy to win over the other, but you just kind of had a feeling that Zach LaVine was going to win.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, hype a lot of guys, if they were to just look at it just coming in, the hype was going to LaVine. Like, they were probably like, what are these other guys going to do?
Yeah.
So they probably were still riding LaVine pretty hard in that dunk contest.
I agree there. I just really thought the dunk where Aaron Gordon went over the mascot should have won it for him. I really do.
My favorite was that mailman dude when he put his hand behind the timing with that 360.
Was good.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was. He made me turn my head more than LaVine made me turn my head.
Yeah.
Like, when Gordon went up for his second dunk in the final, I was trying not to blink so I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the fact that it went to, what was it? I guess you can call it a playoff or the dunk off or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I feel like that definitely hurt Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Big time.
Now, quick, do you think that dunk where he cocked it back behind his head, then put it between his legs, then slammed it, do you think that deserved more than 47?
Yeah. Yes.
I think that deserved a 50. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see that every day.
Yeah. They gave him nines, man, the judges.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I think, and I'm not blaming anybody for this because they wanted to crown a winner, and I completely understand that.
Yeah.
But I did not, and here's why I would have been okay with a tie. Because I felt like the more rounds they went into in this dunk off, kind of the worse the dunks got.
Yeah. And they're probably just trained to
and I understand, at that point they're coming up with the dunks on the spot. They're thinking, all right, what can I do really fast. And I that's why I would have been so cool with it being a tie, because after their two dunks in the finals, it's like you can't get much better than where the dunk contest was at.
Yeah.
And I was watching it with my roommates, and I was just like, man, I would have loved for that to have ended in a tie, because I felt like they both deserved it.
Yeah.
But I do think Aaron Gordon's dunks were a little better. I would have rather have seen Aaron Gordon win it outright. I would have rather have seen a tie than a dunk off.
Yeah.
So I got a different little spin. like I agree with just about everything you guys said, but was Gordon robbed or screwed over by the rules of the dunk contest? No.
Yeah, by the rules, no.
Yeah, because I mean, he had the best 2 dunks of the night, no question. Nobody will argue that, but you can't get any higher than a 50. So Zach
Gordon
LaVine
deserved a 60 for those dunks.
He did. I agree, but Zach LaVine's dunks were also 50 worthy. It's just Gordon
compared to Gordon's, they were You know.
but you can't give him a 45 just because I
agree.
I mean that's a 50 dunk, but that was so much. You have to give him a 50. So it came down to it. I mean, I think the reverse should have got a 49 or 50. Mm-hmm. I could see somebody giving it a 9, but it looks like did he get 3 9s for it, or did somebody give it
with the cock behind his head between the legs jam? Yeah, he got a 47.
Yeah, I know. I'm just wondering, was it just did he get 3 8s or did somebody give him an 8?
It was 3 9s.
Okay, so I mean, I can't like. I mean, how do you argue with somebody for giving a 9 on something like that? I think it was worth the 10. Yeah. If I was a judge, but it was probably the lower tier out of all the 50s they were doing. So
I agree.
By that, then
I mean, they should have had sympathy for the guy though, man. I mean, none of those judges could jam like any of those dudes, man. So it was kind of like Shaq on there. He could throw down some nice dunks, but I mean, he wasn't nice like Gordon or
it's like a power dunk.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, you guys cannot do anything with these two just did. Like, y'all should have gave them better scores than that. But
well, here's my question to that, and this can go to both of you guys. Do you think the judges hand out 50s too easily?
No, because Shaq was like the Russian judge.
yeah. So, okay, then I guess let me rephrase that. Do you think each judge is too easy to give a 10? I mean, Shaq being the outlier here, just in general, I feel like we see a lot of 50s, but it's kind of like,
I don't know.
Was that really a 50? I mean, and not specifically just this year.
I feel like this was the first year where you saw that many, but I think for the most part they were deserving. Just like they were, they were jumping out of the gym and doing stuff. I mean, like people got used to seeing somebody go through one leg, so Gordon's like, okay, I'm about to put it under both of mine. It's like I saw it. Me and my wife were sitting here. My wife doesn't care for sports at all, but even she was like, oh my God, like what was that?
Yeah. It's like, and the thing too about Gordon's dunk, usually whenever you jump over somebody like he was doing, usually uses that hand to do a little extra push. He's just swoosh right over.
His other
I
hand
was like, wow,
grab the ball.
Yeah. I was like, man, that was.
I thought that dunk alone was the greatest dunk of the night. And
for sure, I agree.
And I don't know. I just thought by even fan reaction at the All-Star game, in the arena, it wasn't the All-Star game, but I just feel like even from the fan reaction, they showed the players literally falling out of their seat over that.
Yeah. I mean that I don't think anybody was ready for that.
No,
because I saw him pulling out the mascot, and I mean, I was already amazed by the timing that he showed on the 360, grabbed the ball out of the mascot's hand, mailman dunk. Like that one, I thought was one of the more amazing things I've ever seen, and he did that. I was just like, I don't know if I can watch another dunk contest now.
Going off
real quick, point, man. If you guys hear Eric Gordon and Zach LaVine, please come back next year, dude. Absolutely. If y'all got something left in the tank,
I think we'll see it.
Please, definitely. But go ahead.
And Darnell, you've seen more of a dunk contest than Trey and I have, but I think we've seen enough highlights to know whether it's happened or not. Now, outside of somebody tossing the ball up or physically moving the ball, have we ever seen the ball technically be stationary in somebody's hand, but moving. Have we ever seen that before? You know what I'm talking about? Because the mascot was spinning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the ball was technically moving, but
Yeah.
it wasn't being tossed up or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
he had to time, a spinning target.
Yeah,
Like
that was
we've
best
seen
timing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean we've seen timing off of a tossed alley-oop ball, but I don't think we've ever seen this before where it's not you're trying to time necessarily your jump. He had to time when he started running, and he had to time when he jumped. Obviously, he had to time when he put his legs up. I feel like there were way more things he had to time in this dunk than just going up for an alley-oop, because those guys can do that in their sleep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean that was crazy difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
because it also, if you look at it, he was spinning a different way than the mascot was going.
Yeah.
So
correct.
Then to just grip the ball like how he did too,
like
with the whole
he
time.
like perfectly cupped it into his hand, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that thought Aaron Gordon should have won, but in terms of what the dunk contest is supposed to bring, everybody won.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, we as fans were the ultimate winner of that dunk contest.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
That has me excited for next year, because I bet we see a quote-unquote rematch if they make it to the final again.
Definitely.
But they'll both be present.
Yeah. Now, I saw the comments section, guys. I wasn't saying this, but a lot of people were saying this in the comment sections of videos and stuff about the All-Star, about the dunk contest. Some people said that, based on what they saw, Gordon was better than Vince Carter. And all this, where do these guys rank on your list of top 10, just top dunkers? Are they number one? Are they better than Vince Sanity? Or they still got something to prove? Where do they rank in your guys' book?
To me, being a good dunker is more than just being able to do it in a dunk contest. Anybody can dunk in a dunk contest. I'm not saying anybody will be great at it, but anybody can dunk in a dunk contest. I mean, a couple years ago, we were seeing nobodies winning the dunk contest. Yeah. Vince Carter in game has dunked over 7-foot guys. Yeah. He's done 360 windmills in the game. Like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. That's fun to watch.
And, Vince Carter still gave me my favorite dunk of all time in a 2000 dunk contest when he did the honey dip, stuck his whole arm in. And the thing that was so special about it is that, usually when you see people dunk, they all cheering and stuff. But if you was to YouTube the video, everybody just sat there with their mouth open, what the hell did I just see with my very own eyes? And Vince was just walking away I did that, man. That's still my favorite dunk of all time in a dunk contest, just based on just crowd reaction alone. That was awesome.
Yeah, so back to the original question real fast, and then I'll let you go, Darnell. In terms of these guys being great dunkers, in terms of a dunk contest, I think they kind of solidified their place. That sitting in the air dunk with the spinning mascot will go down as one of the best dunk contest dunks all time. That'll make SportsCenter's top 10 dunk contest dunks.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I've seen enough out of Aaron Gordon outside of this dunk contest to necessarily call him one of the best dunkers just because he had one moment.
Yeah. Dunk contest wise, I can put them. Based on what Aaron Gordon did, I could put him in the top 5. In game, I would have to see more. He's this is rookie year, right?
Gordon, I believe it's his second.
Second year, okay. This is second year, so he still has a lot to do in terms of marking his game in the NBA. But based on just dunk contests alone, I can definitely put him up in the top 5, probably top 3 for me.
Top 3?
Based on that, yeah.
All right.
Those were two of the most just impressive dunks I've ever seen in my lifetime. What he did in the dunk contest.
Yeah, how I look at it, I judge it in 2 different criteria. As a contest between the two, I I think it's the best actual dunk contest since '88, which was Jordan versus Wilkins 2. So I put that basically on par, just because the volume of two people just making you go crazy. But as far as putting both of them on their own with their single performances, I will put them probably 3 and 4 after Vince and Jason Richardson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason Richardson, another one of my favorite dunks, man. When he tossed it up, went between the legs to seal that title. I believe back in 04. That was a great dunk too. So yeah, I say 3. My top 3, I would say Vince. I would say Jay Rich because he was in more dunk contests. So Vince, Jay Rich, and then Aaron Gordon. But if Aaron Gordon, if he continues to be in the dunk contest, especially next year, which I'm hoping for, and he can deliver like he did this year, I can definitely put him at 2 if he delivers like he did this year behind Vince. Just the fact that Vince dunked over a 7-foot guy in the game, that takes a whole lot more time and everything to do. To just having to set up with a mascot and stuff. He's running down the court with the ball and just slams it on him.
It's also the fact that he didn't just posterize him. He literally jumped over him.
Yeah.
He teabagged him.
Yeah, sexual assault.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was just, yeah. So, like, yeah, how was you rank it, Ty?
Yeah, I mean, I think they, you know, for me that's hard because I would have to definitely go back and rewatch a lot of dunk contests, but you know, I think it is pretty clear cut. Carter 1, Richardson 2. In terms of that number 3, I think you could make a case for Michael Jordan, but I think what Gordon and Levine did, I think Levine can be ahead of Gordon because he's now done it 2 years in a row. But I think if Gordon comes in again and puts on another fantastic show and potentially wins it, I think you can then move him in front because I think a lot of people saw a ton out of Aaron Gordon and, you know, and enough to think that he should have won this year. So, you know, I think a lot of people would potentially make a case for Jordan to be kind of like that for you guys, that number 5. Only
Jordan
because
at 5.
Well, for you guys. I mean, I don't
personally,
know.
I like Nick a little bit more better than Jordan.
Yeah,
just with the whole windmills.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think
I'll put Nick over Jordan, but Jordan would be like right there.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I just assumed Jordan would be right there because he had some good.
That leaner was sick by him too, man.
Yeah.
That was.
So I mean, I guess for me, in order to put Aaron Gordon there, I would need to see it one more year.
Yeah.
Only because I don't want him to come out and like do this, you know, incredible show and then not be able to back it up. I mean, all those other guys did it more than once. So.
Yeah, I can see what you did there. Yeah. Any other things left you guys got to say about the dunk contest or just All-Star break? In general.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say Russell Westbrook MVP.
Good call. It's back to back like Drake, man. 2 years in a row.
Well, although I was getting to the point where I thought they were going to give it to Paul George. He put a 41.
Yeah,
and that's incredible.
Incredible performance by Paul George.
And Trey, there was your defense since they wouldn't let him score again.
Yeah, so I mean,
great D for that, guys. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just mentioning that because I called it. So. There's really not much to that there, but I do think Russell Westbrook's kind of figured out how to play the All-Star game, though.
Yeah, he's...
so some guys just figure it out.
Yeah, he's doing his thing, and he's young, too. What's the most MVPs a guy's ever won? You guys know?
I'm going to look it up.
The All-Star game?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm looking that up right now.
see what we got. I would guess maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm guessing the GOAT probably won the most.
I don't know, man. Will, back in the day, how he was dominating, could be, but you know.
Oh, jeez.
Come on, Todd, man. Use that Google.
I don't know, dude. Dude. I'm Googling, but it's not really wanting to give me a most. It just gives me a full
NBA
list.
All-Star MVP.
Here, while we're looking it up, I'll throw in another quick topic of discussion. Would you guys have been okay if Paul George won the MVP?
Oh, I wouldn't have had a
The
problem.
only thing I wouldn't have cared. I mean, this is a game where it's not really, they're just mostly just out there having fun. But I think in most cases, whoever gets the MVP, they should be on the winning team for me. That's just how I feel. The guy on the winning team should get the MVP. But heck of a performance by Paul George. I mean, if he was to get it, I wouldn't be like, oh, darn, he didn't deserve it because he played his tail off that game. So I wouldn't have been mad whatsoever. But I just kind of, I don't know, call me old school maybe, but I just think the MVP should go to the guy on the winning team.
Bob Pettit and Kobe tied for 4.
Alrighty. Bob Pettit and Kobe. So what? Jordan must have got 3 then.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of which, man, Kobe, thanks for all the All-Star games, man. Just games in general, dude. It's been a pleasure to see you play in them. It's great seeing your last game, man. Appreciate it. So.
Aw.
All right, guys.
You gonna send him a love letter too?
Yeah.
Nah, no love letter, man. I'm not that type of guy.
All right.
Up next, we got the trade deadline. What did you guys think about the trade deadline this year? And who are your top winners team-wise for it?
Yeah, that yawn was to signify that it was quite boring.
Yeah, we were actually planning on doing the show yesterday, man. I was like, let's do it Thursday. So we could cover some top, because I could have sworn how they were hyping up Whiteside and Dwight Howard and all this stuff. I was like, some big's gonna go down, and
yeah,
nothing.
I mean, you could say the two big moves were Markieff Morris to Washington for Chris Humphries and Dwan Blair, and then Tobias Harris to the Detroit Pistons for Ersan Ilyasova and Brandon Jennings. Those were really the two big moves.
Yeah, my man. I was huge with my man Lance Stevenson. I thought he was going to be big, man, but he had that nice little year with the Pacers, dude, and he hasn't been doing nothing since. Yeah. So he's got traded to the Grizzlies. I still got faith in the guy. I'm going to root for him and see what he's going to do there. But yeah, I was all over Lance, man. I thought that guy was going to be putting up big time numbers, but that has not been the case.
Nope. He's not good anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting talk surrounding Markieff Morris going to a team that is contending for a playoff spot, really. A team that a lot of people thought would give a real run for the East. Tran, I know you thought that Washington was going to give the East a serious scare.
Really disappointed.
I mean, there's plenty of time. They're currently in 9th place in the East. So I mean, they're still.
Actually, I think they just snuck past the Pistons for the 8th spot.
Oh.
Okay. The two teams play tomorrow, I believe. Yeah, because Washington won tonight. And then they play the Pistons tomorrow. So
actually, based on what I see, Charlotte, the Hornets are number 8 right now.
Oh, Pistons are 9?
Yeah, Pistons are 9.
Yeah, Pistons are 9.
The Hornets, wow.
Hornets and Bulls have the same record.
Okay. Then that was my mistake. But
Hornets they're 27-26. Bulls are 27.
Oh, because they just won.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
But yeah, basically the talk is that Markieff Morris comes with his share of attitude issues.
Yeah.
And is he going to be able to actually help this Wizards team, or will he end up being more detrimental than anything else? I think that's going to be really interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if John Wall is going to be the leader that he's appeared to be, and if he's going to, basically sit him down and set him straight. And,
sometimes, man, all they need is just a new environment, man.
I agree.
Maybe
Change
with
of scenery.
Markieff, new change of scenery. Maybe that'll. That was what he truly, really needed. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Hopefully, he'll enjoy himself there and won't have to, go off on the coaches, throw towels at him and stuff like that. But yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. I will also say, being the Pistons fan that I am, I really like the moves that Detroit made at the deadline.
Probably like the top, had the best moves of the deadline.
Yeah. Yeah, I think getting Tobias Harris was not above and beyond what I thought they could do, because SVG Stan Van Gundy, he has the rapport with the Magic organization. And, I actually thought the Pistons were going to get Tobias Harris in the offseason when he was in free agency. But I was wrong there. Ended up getting him in the end, so I'm okay with it. But one thing that I really like about that trade is it kind of gets us out from under Brandon Jennings. He was just kind of being, granted, coming off an injury, but he was going to be sitting behind Reggie Jackson anyway. There's no point in having two all-star point guards in the same lineup, where you can really get value for the guy who's on the bench. And Stan Van Gundy, took notice to that, and I think he was kind of planning to do that for a while. Brandon Jennings has been, in trade talks for a couple of years now. So, I mean, I really liked the move. I think also getting rid of Ilyasova was okay, because Tobias Harris is going to be an upgrade, a better option offensively. He'll allow the Pistons to do more on the floor. They can probably do transition a little better, really, really run the floor. And another interesting thing is Tobias Harris is only 6'9" and will most likely play the power forward. So you might see them at an attempt to maybe run some small ball like Golden State's doing. They won't be able to do it to that level, but I think you're going to see a lot of teams move towards that idea of small ball and really trying to just run teams and quick shots, and not necessarily ignore the big man, because Golden State even uses Andrew Bogut every once in a while on an offensive play in a half-court set. But I think we'll see a lot more transition gets for Drummond, a lot more dunks and alley-oops for him, because I feel like now we have a lineup that's really capable to run the floor. Also, they traded Joel Anthony to Houston for Donatas Motiejunas, or whatever his name is, but he's, I believe, a 7-footer.
Yeah, he plays power forward.
Yep, plays power forward, and that gives Detroit some depth and some size.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good. I think he's pretty decent with the 3-ball too.
Yeah,
so I think he can stretch.
He can also stretch the floor, but he'll give us some size on defense if we need it. And also last year he started a majority of the games for Houston because of the injury to Dwight Howard.
Yep.
But when he started the majority of his games, I mean, he was putting up 14 a game, 15, 16 points, and pulling down 7 or 8 rebounds. So, I mean, he has the capability to play. And I think that added some depth to the bench that they needed, especially at a power forward position, where they would be bringing Anthony Tolliver off the floor. They're now just replacing him with more size, which I think is going to be beneficial for specific situations. But I think most importantly for Detroit, they basically took a lot of age off their lineup, and they now have a very young unit.
Yeah. Do you think like it helps to have some age on the team though? Because I mean, some of those guys that have age, they could bring some experience, wisdom to the team. So, you think overall that was a good move still, or?
Yeah, overall I think it's a good move because I mean you're looking at they do have some veteran guys on their bench. They have Steve Blake still, Anthony Tolliver. They both have been around for a few years.
Okay.
They also have a few guys on, a little more toward the end of their bench. They actually just traded Joel Anthony, so no, they don't. But I think they have the guys who have enough game experience where the veteran leadership's now going to come from Stan Van Gundy. And I think they've bought into what he wants to do with this organization. And I think as long as there's no internal conflict in the locker room, I think that this unit will be able to really succeed. Not necessarily win the Eastern Conference. I think they'll make it into the playoffs, possibly a 7 or a 6 seed. But I think that moving forward, they'll really be able to make some noise, especially the more experience they get with each other as a whole.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Anything else you have to cover on the trade deadline? I mean, wasn't really that hot this year.
I hate rumors because I expect something out of it.
Yeah, but that whole Blake Griffin for like 4 players and Whiteside for Howard.
Yeah, the trade deadline is a dreamer's dream. There's just no other way to put it. It's the time where people get to throw names around left and right and get people to believe that it could actually happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's an intriguing time, definitely. I mean, I think we were all definitely waiting for something to happen, but just nothing happened. So now I guess we wait for free agency.
Yeah. Now, real quick before we get into the top 10, I just want to touch on Jahlil Okafor real quick. Just want to know whether you guys think he's going to be detrimental to the 76ers. If you don't know, he was fined $439 after driving 108 miles per hour in a 45 miles per hour zone on the Benjamin Franklin Bridge. Just based on with this incident and him knocking out guys outside the bars, you think he's going to continue to be a problem or what?
He needs to grow up. And, I mean, he has time, which is, I mean, that's the luckiest thing for him. He's a young player in the league, but he's definitely showing that he's immature, and which is surprising because people thought he was the one that was more NBA ready to just come in and be like his talent wise, he is NBA ready, but he's not upstairs.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, unusual coming from a program like Duke. Usually, under the tutelage of Coach K, you think.
And you haven't really heard any problems like about him or anything like while he was at Duke, right?
No, I don't recall anything. Yeah. But I mean, Duke's private college. And a lot more buttoned down than like if he would have been at UNC or something like that. So probably wasn't quite as much for him to do, even though, I mean, Chapel Hill is right down the road. But as far as that campus is probably a little more tied down, and probably Coach K kept an eye.
Yeah.
Better eye on him, especially since he was his star. So probably, it's kind of like, that kid that sheltered their whole life and finally gets out to a place where they're on their own, and he just kind of doesn't know how to handle it is basically the vibe I'm getting. He's probably had people looking out for him, keeping him out of bad situations, and now he's living grown-up life and he's getting himself into some situations, or leading back to earlier conversation, maybe Duke was sweeping some stuff up.
Maybe, yeah. Never know.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Darnell. It's the fact that he's 19 years old and on his own.
Yeah.
With millions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, when you can practically buy your way in or out of any position, you feel like the rules don't apply to you. And when you are, the third pick in the draft? Third.
He
was a third.
After
when you're the
Towns and Russell.
Yeah, when you're the third pick in the NBA draft, everyone knows who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's with all of that comes responsibility, and maybe he's just not ready for it yet. And I wonder how much of it has to do with the fact that, he's probably been a winner his entire life, and now he's losing.
Yeah.
Once again, going back to Ronda Rousey, that idea. The fact that, when you start losing after winning your entire life, you kind of find new things to do to, I don't know. It's tough to try and dissect for sure.
I just think, I just look at him as a guy, he's up in college. When you're in college, you're not making money. At least you shouldn't be making, money like from the side, like with donors and stuff like that. Here's a guy trying to work his tail off to get into the NBA. Once he finally gets that money and adjusts to the pro ball life, it changes him up. Out there, he thinks he's invincible, thinks he can just, knock guys out outside the bars and get away with it and drive as fast as he wants. So he's younger than me. I think 19 or so. He, still has a lot that he has to learn, and hopefully, because with the Philadelphia 76ers. They're tanking and just trying to get young and younger. So I don't think he really has a guy on that team, that's a veteran that pull him over to the side and say, hey, man, quit being stupid. You're in a position to go out here, make a lot of money, provide for your family, can turn out to be one of the best players in the NBA. Use your time wisely instead of going out there, hanging around people where you shouldn't be, hanging out with people who you shouldn't be hanging out with, and doing stuff you definitely shouldn't be doing. He doesn't really have anybody on that team to tell him that too. So, with being young and having all that money, it can definitely get to an individual's head. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Any other statements on this, guys, before we get to this top 10?
No.
All right, so let's get to these ESPN top 10 and SI top 10. For basketball, for ESPN, they had that 10 Hakeem, 9 Shaq, 8 Tim Duncan, 7 Bill Russell, 6 Larry Bird, 5 Wilt Chamberlain, 4 Magic, 3 LeBron, 2 Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 1 MJ. You guys have the SI up?
Yeah.
When y'all read through that real quick.
At 10, we have Tim Duncan. 9, we have Jerry West. 8, we have Bill Russell. 7, Larry Bird. 6, Oscar Robinson. 5, LeBron. 4, Magic. 3, Wilt. 2, Kareem. 1, Jordan.
How do you guys feel about the list? Which one do you think is more accurate, and how would you rank them based on there? You think some people are ranked too high, too low, or what?
I'll go ahead and start because I bet Darnell might feel a little more strongly one way or the other, but I prefer the SI top 10 list minus Jerry West. I don't know, he just seems kind of like the odd one out of the group. I mean, he had okay numbers for his career. I got him right here. He was at 27 points a game, 6 assists a game, about 2.5 steals, and shooting about 47% for a career.
I don't think those are okay numbers. I think those are great numbers.
No, those are good numbers.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just you don't really see him in many top 10 lists. So for him to just kind of get thrown into this one's a little weird. But the reason I prefer the SI list is just looking at the top 5, where it's LeBron, Magic, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then Michael Jordan. I tend to agree a little more than the ESPN, which is Wilt at 5, Magic at 4, LeBron at 3, Kareem, then Michael. I think, and I believe we were talking about this before we started the show tonight. Wilt Chamberlain's numbers were just crazy. We'll never see that again, ever. I believe those numbers are deserving to be ahead of LeBron James. I mean, I know a lot of people are, saying LeBron or Michael, are they the greatest ever? I think some other people potentially should be in that conversation, but it's just because it's who we've seen. If you were to talk to somebody, who watched Wilt Chamberlain play his whole career, they'd say, well, Wilt Chamberlain's probably the best I've ever seen, and it's all generational, and I get it. It's understandable, but, and then you have the whole talent level at the time discussion. But I mean, when you're at, in 1961 and 1962, Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50.4 points and 25.7 rebounds.
Yeah.
Just totally unbelievable. There was a season where Wilt Chamberlain played every minute of every game. We don't see that anymore.
He's that year he actually averaged more than 48 minutes because he played in overtime. So a lot of people looked at, they look at the rebounds and the points. I'm about to get into another thing about him too. But the fact that guy, for his size, he was that conditioned, that you could tell him, hey man, I'm going to need you to play every minute tonight, and be like, okay, and do that.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. Another thing about Wilt too is that he actually led the league in assists one year. People could get on about, oh man, all he does is score. So, he changed it up and led the league in assists for 1 year. I forgot how many he averaged. But just absolutely remarkable player.
Yeah, so I really like him at 3. I really like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at 2, all-time point leader. And then Michael at 1 with all the rings and the MVPs. I think that's kind of tough to argue with. So, but just one more quick point on Wilt Chamberlain, and then Darnell, I'll let you share your opinion, or Trey, whichever you want to go next. I was watching this thing on the NBA channel, kind of like a 30-minute special on Wilt Chamberlain, and they were saying one thing people don't really realize is, or at least they don't take into account, is when they traveled, sometimes it took them a couple days just to get to a game because they had to take the bus. They weren't flying in 4 hours or 5 hours across the country. So, they would show up to these places dog tired because they'd either be expected to sleep on the bus, or it would take them a few days to get there, and they're sitting and they'd be getting cramps and things like that. So they're saying, the fact that he played every minute of every game one season while riding a bus everywhere is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
pretty impressive.
Think about all those women he had too, man. I mean, that's just a record alone itself. So, huge shout out to Wilt, man.
Jeez. But yes, I like the SI list, especially the top 5.
Yeah. Me, I would probably go with the SI list too. One thing, me, I don't really, everybody has a top 10, so I don't really, get that big about it. Excuse me. Because, everybody has there's certain players that they like and everything like that. Just one key thing, just what I believe with both the ESPN and SI listed, I think that somebody was just too high of a number, was Bill Russell. I think he should have been lower, at least the top 5, in my opinion, just because this guy got 11 championships, coached a lot of those seasons. And 2, this was a time, where it was not easy to be black in America. So this guy, just mentally, what he had to go through.
And in Boston.
in Boston, let's not even forget about the whole physical aspects of basketball, but mentally what this guy just had to go through alone too, and to succeed how he did, was just absolutely remarkable. So for him I think he should have definitely been at least a top 5, just based on just the whole mental aspects, the whole racism in the country, the whole civil rights era and everything back then. And for him to, people probably call him out his names. This guy, he had to sleep at different hotels, eat at different restaurants, just to go through that and to coach a team, coach and play with the Boston Celtics and win a championship, to do that multiple times alone, that just speaks on the just how mentally strong he was as a person, well alone just the physical aspects of what he did on the court. So that's my only gripe. I don't get big on like the whole top 10 things, just because everybody, you ask everybody, they'll have a different top 10. But I just feel just with what Bill Russell did, I think he should just be in top 5 based on what he had to deal with and everything like that. So
yeah.
Darnell, you can go ahead,
man. Actually, with the 10 names, just not the order, but the 10 names, I kind of agree more with ESPN's list. I like SI's top 5 more.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I can agree with that's more kind of right. Yeah, I can agree with you there, Darnell. Yeah.
But basically, for me, just going off of it, like I would slide Magic up to 2. I think he's second best player ever after Jordan. And basically, you could shift everything back after that. And I would put Hakeem Olajuwon over Shaq. I would actually drop Shaq out of the top 10 and put Oscar Robertson in at 10.
Okay. Now, do you think LeBron is too high on ESPN at 3? Because I kind of think he was.
Yeah, I think he's high at 3. Like I said, I would put Magic at 2 and then
LeBron at 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you still think he's top 5?
Yeah, I mean, he's just unreal. I mean, I don't see how you can't say he's a top 5 all time. I mean, if you don't want to put him top 5, fine.
At least a top 10 for sure.
But he belongs.
Oh, he's easily 10. In the top 10.
Yeah.
Are you mad about the omission?
Of what? Having LeBron in the top 3?
No, about not having somebody else in the top 10.
Like I said, man, I mean, ESPN especially, they haven't been great with Kobe. I think he's a top 10. I'll put him over Shaq. But I still think Oscar deserved to be. I would have to really think this through because I think Oscar deserved to be in the top 10, definitely. But if I was to replace, put Kobe in there and take somebody out, it would be Shaq. Just kind of like with me because I had to deal with the whole, Kobe wouldn't have a ring if it wasn't for Shaq, but was like, whatever, but Kobe has more rings than Shaq. With that whole argument. But Shaq was a beast too. I still think he left a whole lot on the table he could have delivered. Just with how, that guy was just so lean and in shape when he played with Orlando. And then like when he got to LA, I don't know what happened, man. I don't know if the food was just different or what, man, but he just gained a lot of weight when he went to LA, man, and just got huge. So I think if Shaq would have been a little bit more strict to his diet and things like that, I think he would have had a better, he would have been able to max out more on his talent. But if I was to take somebody out, it would be Shaq and I would put Kobe in. So,
well, and both lists have Kobe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do know that.
Okay.
But, I think Kobe's a top 10 player. I would have him in the top 10. But, like I said, everybody, has their top 10 players.
And do you think it could possibly be one of those things with Kobe where, unlike LeBron, where, I mean, with ESPN specifically is where I'm kind of directing this question. Do you think it's one of those things where it's like once Kobe's actually done and we look back at his career, then it's like, okay, maybe, we didn't not that they didn't realize, but they didn't take into consideration X, Y, or Z. And one of those things, like kind of like, you know, authors and poets, they don't get real famous until they die. You know, do you think it could be one of those things for Kobe?
I think Kobe, you know, he's like at the max he could possibly go.
Okay.
I don't think I could see him getting any higher than that. You know, just how ESPN named Steph Curry a top, number 4 at point guard.
Yeah, but he's number, I don't even think he's in the top. I know on SI he's 31.
31. Yeah, I'll have to see the ESPN where they have him.
He's in the 21 to 25, so he's in the top 25.
Okay, top 25. You know, it's just, you know, they're gonna support whatever players they want. But you know, like I said, I think Kobe's a top 10. I put him like high. I wouldn't put him
in the 8
I wouldn't
to 10
say
range.
he's a top. Yeah, I'd say 8 to 10. I wouldn't put him in the top 5 or anything like that. But
That's fair.
Just based on Shaq, I would probably taken Shaq out and put Kobe in. So, all right. Anything else, guys?
No, I think Darnell got a lot of his say in when we were going down by each position.
Yeah.
I think he had more issues there. So
you're satisfied with the point guards at least, Darnell?
Yeah.
Korea 31.
Yeah. So all right, man, that pretty much does it for the show. You guys have any closing comments?
March Madness is getting just a little bit closer.
We're gonna be getting ready. Oh man, we got to do a bracket. You know, like discuss our brackets and stuff for the show too. I'm gonna have to start watching soon, man, because I'm horrible at brackets.
There's teams
right now, so
there's teams really starting to take form right now, and top 5 teams are still constantly losing. So
yep,
it's a lot of fun.
It's a wide open year.
A lot of fun.
I did see, man. Some guy on ESPN did list your boys as his favorite to win the championship this year.
Seth Greenberg, the bald guy. Seth Greenberg.
I believe so.
Dude, he
picked them number 1.
He picks them every year since, like before the schedule even comes out.
He's been calling us since the beginning of the year, saying state.
Yeah, I mean,
but
in reality, like, you can never go wrong picking Michigan State.
I was gonna say when we average a Final Four every 4 years, so
can't go wrong with it.
We're gonna talk about the Hall of Fame next week because your boy Tom Izzo's getting inducted.
Fully so.
So, man. On my end, before I get ready to get off, I just want to give a huge shout out to the people in the UK. Because on YouTube, a quarter of our views have been from the people in the UK. So we're all the way in the United States, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and checking us out. So huge thank you to that. So it's like 25% of our viewership so far is coming from people in the UK. So a little bit of Japan. I forgot where else, but yeah, we're starting to get a little international, man. So
we appreciate it wherever it comes from.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So all right, guys. Anything else?
Just another fun week in sports is always ahead. You never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
It's good stuff.
Yep. So let's hope for some decent news. Maybe hopefully a little happier beginning to a show next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about suicide and sexual assault and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'll catch y'all later.
All right. Have a good week.
Peace.
All right. Peace.